power of life and death lies within our words. I encourage you to be mindful of your words. Help me welcome the Music and Arts Global Mass Choir.
Greetings, saints, and welcome once again to Living in the Word, where I am your host and pastor, Reverend Lionel Mingo. I want to talk to you briefly this evening from these words, the Tower of Babel. And I want to use as a reference the book of Genesis, beginning at the 11th verse, and reading a few of the following verses. Now the whole earth had one language and one speech. And it came to pass, as they journeyed from east to west, that they found a plain in the desert of Shinar, and they dwelt there. Then they said to one another, Come, let us make bricks and bake them thoroughly. They had brick for stone, and they had asphalt for mortar. And they said, Come, let us build ourselves a city, and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be scattered abroad over the face of the whole earth. I want to talk to you briefly about the Tower of Babel that we pretty much are familiar with, and we are going to come to find out that this was the beginning of all the languages in the earth. It's going to show how we got different languages and scattered throughout the whole earth as a whole, which you're going to find here. The first verse says the whole earth was one language. Now, this verse opens with unity. One language, one speech. It sounds like a blessing, right? But what was supposed to be used to glorify God was instead used to glorify man. Unity is powerful, but it must be anchored in obedience. The second verse said, Let us build a tower and make a name. The people weren't just building a city, they were building up their pride. Let us make a name, they said. This was self-glorification, ambition without submission. They wanted to reach heaven, not by faith, but by their own works. This is humanity trying to reflect or trying to replace God instead of have God reflect upon them. And if you think about it, that's what one thing I remember that story when I was a child was they wanted to build a tower where they could just walk into heaven and see God on their own terms versus letting God have faith in God, that God can take care of them and show them the way to heaven. How often, let me pause for a second and ask this question. How often do we try to build our own towers in the form of careers, reputations, platforms, trying to reach the heavens without God's direction? Verse number 3 says, the third point I'll make is the Lord came down. You find that in verse 5. This is almost satirical because they're trying to build something up to heaven, yet God still had to come down to see it. Kind of weird when you think about it. No matter how high we think we climb, we can never reach God's level by human strength, if you would. He is always, always above. Nothing will be restrained from them. God isn't afraid of human technology. As much as we do with all our fancy programs and how great we are, He sees prideful independence as dangerous. When people unite in rebellion, they can cause great harm. God acts out of mercy to stop them from destroying themselves. Let us go down and confound their language. Here we see God's divine intervention. He breaks their rebellion, not with war or fire, but with confusion. He confused their language. Suddenly, they can't understand each other no more. They can't understand nothing without communication, and their plans fall apart. You know, you think about it, sometimes what looks like disruption in your life may be God's mercy stopping you from before your plans lead you in a path away from him. The Lord scattered them about. God's original command was to command mankind after the flood. You think about was to be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. You find that in Genesis 9:1. But the people tried to stay in one place. They didn't want to be fruitful and multiply. They wanted to stay in one place. So God made sure His will would be done. He scattered them about. And if you think about, I want to share this in my last, as I get ready to close this, the Tower of Babel isn't just about ancient people with bricks and mortar. It's about modern hearts with pride and ambitions. We all have our towers, things we build hoping they'll reach the heavens, hoping they'll make us feel secure, powerful, or worthy. But anything built outside of God's will eventually fail. And as I leave this point, as I like to always leave a point of thoughts with you, is, ladies and gentlemen, I come to find out that don't waste your time trying to get people to love you, but rather spend your time on those who already do. Amen. This is Reverend Lionel Mingo. Asking you to continue to pray for living in the Word as I continue to share the message with as many people, because we as Christians, we're taught to try and help save as many souls as we can. And I'm praying this ministry will reach many people as I possibly can through Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Yahoo, whatever method I can that technology affords me. I want to be able to share the message that God has, that He is in control no matter what you're going through your life. If you have any questions, any concerns, any prayer needs, prayer requests, please reach out to us. Living in the Word, you'll find us online, and we're here to comfort you in any manner we could. This is Reverend Lionel Mingo saying thank you and God bless you.
One of these